Shannon Curfman.
Outstanding. Thank you for joining us here today. Musician Shannon Curfman, and we grew up in the same hometown, I should say. It wasn't my hometown. My hometown is Minneapolis, and then I moved to Fargo, and Shannon grew up in Fargo and then moved to Minneapolis, so I guess it's kind of a reverse. I'm just processing right now as we're talking. But just for a brief overview, I didn't realize that you got signed at age 13. I guess I thought you were a little bit older, so it was fun for me to get kind of reconnected a little bit. Just in a very short overview for the listening audience out there, talk a little bit about your career. You're 12 years old, you get recognized, you get scouted. 13 years old, you sign with Clive Davis. So just kind of take over from there and give us an update to where you're at today with the touring of Kid Rock.
I started in Fargo, and I ended up moving to Minneapolis. I was splitting my time, but I was recording an album independently. So this was before I got signed, so I must have been about 12. During that time, I started writing with a lot of people in Minneapolis. I ended up recording in Minneapolis. Things were just kind of pulling that way because, the bigger city, I guess the bigger the music scene, the better the studios, all that sort of thing. So I ended up putting out an album independently when I was 12, and I, through SoundScan, which, tells, it reports how many albums you sold every week. We started doing that because Best Buy and Target had picked up my album. They're also Minneapolis companies. They believe in a lot of local music. So just kind of a byproduct of that was doing SoundScan. With doing that, all of the labels in Manhattan and stuff just showed up to my gigs. I had a Tuesday night gig at Bunkers in Minneapolis.
I love Bunkers.
Yeah, it's the best. And these guys started pulling up in fancy cars and fancy suits.
And how old
were you?
You were 12 at this time?
Yeah, I was 12.
Okay. And 13. Then how did you meet Clive Davis?
A guy named Pete Ganbarg was the head of A&R for Arista Records, and he had been one who was scouting me, and actually they ended up all offering us deals. So I got to pick, which was really insane because we weren't, our intention of me playing music, and when I say our, I mean my parents and I, it wasn't to get signed. We certainly didn't think that this was going to be some sort of career, at least anytime soon. In my head, it was going to be a process of getting through school in Fargo, going to high school, being able to move to Minneapolis, hopefully find someone that would let me rent a room in Uptown, and just start grinding, and hope that, coffee shops would let me play and things like that. And everything just happened so quickly.
Do you have any family that has music connections that might maybe helped out at all? I don't know. I mean, did your dad work for a record company or anything like that?
No, my dad was a train engineer at Burlington Northern, and my mother worked for the IRS.
Well, now it all makes sense. You got the railroad and the Internal Revenue System. No wonder you're so successful. Wait, does Kid Rock know that? Because I don't think he'd let you in his band if he knew the IRS connection.
Yeah, I think my mother's career probably hindered mine.
Now, are you still classified as a blues musician?
I don't think so.
Well, you were earlier in your career, right? That's how you were kind of classified as a blues musician, or am I not remembering correctly?
No, I really was, and I don't really know why.
Okay, good.
I don't know if I don't really play 12-bar blues songs.
Do you think it was your voice? It was your kind of your raspy Amy Winehouse sounding voice, or?
I think it was that, and the fact that I had a guitar.
Okay.
and I played lead, you know, and
And you're just so cool looking.
I don't know about that. I think that at that time, so many kids were coming out, and anyone with a guitar, they just made us be blues, you know, or at least in their heads. And those are the festivals we were playing. So it wasn't only like Johnny Lang and Kenny Wayne Shepherd and me, but there was also like Derek Trucks. Derek Trucks is not blues. You know, he's a very rootsy artist, but he's not blues. Um, and you know, Johnny is I feel is far more influenced by old soul, R&B, funk. That's also kind of where my heart sits, as well as you know, I'm a Zeppelin baby. I really like that type of classic rock that time. So yeah, I don't really think any of us were really all that blues except for Kenny Wayne.
Yeah, yet I for some reason, like I said, I just remember that's what you were always categorized as, and you're
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like, oh no, I don't think so. And I know that people change, times change, but sometimes just labels change too, in different industries and that sort of thing. So, just a quick plug for your music. If somebody is listening right now and they wanted to buy or sample or whatever it might be, do you have any websites that you direct people to?
iTunes, Amazon Music. I have yet to I have yet to try Spotify and things like that, but I know my music's on there because I see residuals. I see money from there.
You get
Um,
you get your 30 cents every year from Spotify.
right, right, right.
Oh yeah, I mean I've
Um,
that whole Spotify and some of these other royalties, CD babies and things. I don't think they're mapping out or quite panning out like a lot of people thought they would.
yeah, it's been pretty rough. It's
Hmm.
definitely a time, you know, in the industry, um, where people ask me, you know, what would I tell their kid that's in music or that sort of thing, and the only thing that I can really say about this business at this point, because I feel like we're all sort of lost as last year's Easter egg, is to diversify. Just diversify and be able to cover ground in all sorts of things. Um, One of the things that we're doing at our show at Talk in Dilworth is I reached out to the high schools in Fargo and I said, listen, I really want to do a cover of the song Hallelujah, you know, the Leonard Cohen song, you know, very famously done by Jeff Buckley. And I would like someone to play some sort of string instrument on it. And we ended up finding this kid named Alex. He's 17 years old, and he's going to come and play violin with us. And you know, part of that is just, you know, I really wanted to find someone who would really benefit from the experience and be able to get on a stage and play with a band as opposed to just playing in high school, which is just fine too. But this is a 17-year-old who wants more from music. And now where his heart is really lying is in singing and in writing. And it's just such a cool thing to witness. But that's also how I was. And without people really sticking their necks out like they did for me, especially because of my age, I never would have had the career I've had, ever. I can't even imagine how it would have been had I had to wait another 10 years to be able to follow my passion.
I absolutely love when someone can recognize the importance of opportunity and being able
Yeah.
just to give people who want opportunity is amazing because you know this as well as I do. There's a lot of people out there just starving for an opportunity and they would do anything for it. And a lot of times they don't get it. And sometimes opportunities just seem to come to the same people over and over again. And
Sure.
so it's
You also have to you have to hustle too. You have to be enough for people to believe in you.
you got to
You
create your
know?
own opportunity is right. You know.
Right.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about the shows. You know, you normally tour with Kid Rock, and so you got an off year going, so you're doing some off shows or some side shows. And I want to ask you about your vocal surgery in a second here, but when you do your shows, I want to ask you a couple comments I got from past musicians. One is from Matthew Nelson of Matthew and Gunnar Nelson. And what he talked about was we talked about the changing of the media business and social media and just how everything has evolved over the last 15 years, for example. And he said that your song almost has become a commercial for your concert. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty spot on because, and he was talking about to where you hardly make any money with the songs. You make it at the concerts and the live events and the merchandise. And then I remember Blind Joe. And do you know Blind Joe? He's from Fargo.
Yeah, he actually opened for me the last time I played there a couple
Okay.
years ago.
Blind Joe, he's a good friend of mine. He actually played at my cancer benefit, and he talked about just the merchandise. It's selling the keychains with the the Blind Joe picture on there, or he talked about maybe getting into canes and same. It was along the same lines that you got to get people to your show because then you can sell the merchandise. And that's kind of what Matthew Nelson was talking about too. You tour with Kid Rock. You have your own concerts. What do you make of those two statements by your colleagues?
Yeah, I find that really interesting. I'm really behind the times. I'm not one for YouTube. I'm not one for social media. When you see me posting on social media, it's because I've gotten a plethora of messages from people saying, "Are you okay? You haven't posted anything in a while," and things like that. And it's like, oh man, I kind of forget people even care, um, because I'm not really thinking anyone would want to hear from me anyway, unless it's about a show or something. Um, so that sort of thing comes really unnaturally to me. It was maybe a month or two ago that I realized that people just go to YouTube and don't even have something in particular that they're searching for. They just go and browse. Like just fall down that rabbit hole. I never knew that. I've also never Googled myself. That's just never been something that's crossed my mind. I mean, someone asked me, I had a friend here that was a comedian that stayed with us for about a week, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I saw this on Google." And when I Googled you, and I said, "You Googled me? Like, why would one do that?" My music's my music, and kind of the rest is irrelevant. And no one's going on Google to look up someone's music.
I got news for you. I've had people Google me before interviews.
Oh yeah.
Just to decide if they liked my, I don't know, political view, non-political view, pictures of my kids. I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of like,
it's weird though, right? It's really a foreign feeling. I mean,
well,
at least it is to me.
I'm more afraid to Google myself because I don't want to see what I did in the past. I'm good. I'm good with what I did. Let's just leave it there. I'm just gonna, it's kind of like one of those things. I got enough mirrors around the house. I'm good. I don't need to do any more of that introspection on the web.
Right.
It'd probably bring me right to the dark web. That thing that is called. But that's interesting though that you're like that, to where you've created an environment where it doesn't matter. Can I ask you, is that because of your early fame with somebody like a Clive Davis, and then a continuation of that all the way to current with Kid Rock? Because I've heard this a lot from a certain echelon of fame where they just don't engage with the social media and even the newspapers and a lot of things because it's not healthy for them. It's just best to just, live your life, and whatever people are saying, they're saying. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do think that part of why it feels so weird to me is probably because I was so young when all this happened in such a large spectrum. I mean, I did every late night show, I did every morning show, every day show. I mean, it was just insane. It was just, we were all over the place, and then people. I mean, still to this day, there's so many people that come to my shows who really feel like they know everything about me. Um, and but I think and that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. That actually makes me feel really connected, I guess, to my audience. Um, but there have definitely been a lot of instances where people have crossed the line, and there's been, restraining orders and things like that. And I think that's really made me kind of shut down in a lot of ways, with social media. And but I'm trying to kind of come around to it, because like that guy said, there really is something to the theory that your single is like a commercial, for your live show, or for your act. And uh, but if someone will listen to a song, say they're listening to it on YouTube or whatever streaming service, another one's going to start right after it. So, but if you don't have anything else out there, they're not going to have anything to listen to. So, keep the commercial going, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
So it's definitely, I've been waiting in the pool, I guess. And at this point, I know that I need to start posting videos on YouTube and things like that. I have also considered just releasing individual songs, just releasing singles on iTunes and Amazon, as opposed to a full album, just because of people's, people don't really have the patience anymore for an album. But I don't know. I really have lucked out with my fan base. I think they're more just music fans. They're more roots music fans. They really do want to buy the album. They really want a physical product. They do want the ticket to the show and to spread the word and to buy T-shirts and all those things. So one of the things that it takes me a lot of time every day, but I do sell my albums and merch on my website. And I sign the albums and personalize them how you want them personalized, because I really do respect and appreciate the fact that there are people out there that still enjoy that.
How long have you been touring with Kid Rock?
I've been touring with Kid for 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's been, and how many tours have you gone on? Offhand, in the last 10
one
years?
After another.
Oh, it has been. Idea. Okay. Is this like the first summer you have off, or?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I did happen to get sick too 3 years ago, so I missed months just in my recovery and after all my surgeries and that sort of thing. And but I'm cancer free again, so yeah, I did have an off summer, but it wasn't very fun.
I didn't realize you had cancer.
Yeah. So,
which body parts, if I may ask?
I had a very invasive melanoma.
Okay.
So yeah, it was pretty terrible, and it was very up in the air for a long time. But yeah, we got through it, and definitely changes your perspective. And
I'm just, what I was doing before you called is I'm just finishing the final stages on my book, Cancer's a B. Cancer's a BITCH, 2 covers, one for those who can handle words and ones who just want the letter B. And
right.
yeah, and that's what it is. It's a collection of stories of my processing cancer. I was, last summer, I went in for a colonoscopy and had stage 2, possibly stage 4 cancer, and surgery, and ended up getting a C. diff infection below 150 pounds, and just, it was quite an ordeal. And so we got the publication coming out hopefully in the next couple days. That's so I didn't realize that about you. And how long have you been? So I'm not a year yet, so I'm not out of the woods. I got one more scan in May, and then I've got my 1-year anniversary 2 months after that, I guess, and then I get my annual colonoscopy to find out. But How many years have you been cancer free?
I'm at about 3 years right now.
Okay.
I just reached 3 years. Yeah, um, that's pretty great. That if you're only going to have to go in, once a year, and yeah, I'm not really out of the woods yet either.
Oh, you
But yeah,
never
it's a
are.
really
You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, it's really. I've actually been following the progress of your book
Oh,
on
have you
Facebook.
really?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it definitely, interests me, and it pertains, it pertains to my whole family. Um, and
It's
yeah,
I got
people
to tell
don't
you what
really.
happened to me yesterday. Just a sidebar, real quick. I'm not
Yeah,
trying to make the interview about me here, but
no.
yeah, I was getting my teeth cleaned, and you know that 3 to 5 minutes when the dentist comes in and approves what the dental hygienist does, and then
Uh-huh.
leaves. Well, my normal guy was out, and so the guy filling in was a classmate's father. A guy that I went to elementary school, church, confirmation, and graduated high school with. It was his dad, and so he's probably 67, we'll call it. And we started talking, and of course, he knew I had cancer because it was in my chart and everything else. And we started talking, and he just goes, my wife just got diagnosed 2 weeks ago when we're heading down to Mayo tomorrow. So here I was, a 44-year-old guy, giving advice to my friend's parents because this was the first time cancer had impacted him personally like that, because everybody knows somebody who has cancer, but until it impacts your immediate family or your close circle of friends or you, it doesn't impact you. And I could see it. This was the first time it really did. And so here he's asking me for advice and that sort of thing. What a weird position to be in my shoes, and I don't know if you found yourself in that shoes or not, but you know what I mean by that? Oh, it's just for somebody our age, that ain't normal. In our age, you're 10 years
Yeah,
younger than me. So
it was. I think where I kind of looked out with my cancer treatment was the type of cancer I had. They said is the rarest type they've ever found.
wow.
Because of that, they don't know much, except nothing else kills it. So radiation, chemo, things like that won't do it. All they can do is keep kind of scooping out of me anything they find. Um, but hopefully that now that there's a name for it and all that, as research is done, things will get better with how they'll be treating it. But where I did luck out, like I said, is so many people got involved. Mayo and all sorts of different doctors were just and oncologists were so intrigued because they think my type of cancer has been misdiagnosed more so than not as just different melanomas that shouldn't kill you, and then suddenly that person dies, and it's like, what? How did that person die when it was just what should have been like a simple melanoma, and yeah, it was probably this type of cancer.
And last cancer question, then we'll get to your show in just a second here. But
Sure.
you're young. I'm young. I know there's some 16-year-olds that might argue with us, but we're young. So when when I start to see there's more and more people our age, or I'll just say under 50, getting cancer, am I being sensitive to it as far as just because I've had it and I'm noticing it more? Because I thought I'd noticed it a lot more before I was diagnosed. Like, boy, it just certainly seems like there's more and more people these days under the age of 50 that are being diagnosed and getting it just out of the blue, like healthy people, just all of a sudden. Have you become aware of that? Am I just really sensitive of it, or is that anything at all that you've even thought about?
I have. I always thought I was very sensitive to it. The doctors that I had actually told me they thought the reason that I was still alive because I was maybe a week from it being everywhere. and there would have been nothing they could do, was because of the diet that I had for years at that point, which was a ketogenic diet. So I didn't have sugar in my system, so I wasn't feeding my cancer. So the cancer that was there was probably hadn't grown in a long time. That means, though, that I had this cancer since they thought I was about 16. And it was from a sunburn, like a very, very bad sunburn where I couldn't wear clothes for a week. I mean, it was really terrible. You know, we went to the hospital and everything. But I do think that there is maybe part of that is at this age. I mean, at this time, people are a little more open about things that are happening with them. Um, because I have gotten a lot of that feedback. For a long time, what we all said, and, you know, I discussed this with Kid Rock. I was going to be missing a lot of shows. People were asking a lot of questions. We decided to just say I was having shoulder surgery. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I didn't want to be looked at as a victim or a patient.
I went through
My
that same thing,
daughter,
by the way. I didn't want to be known as the cancer man.
yeah, yeah, and my daughter, I hadn't told her yet. You know, there were a lot of things, and then once I did tell her, did I want other people coming up to her and saying things? Of course not. Not at 7 years old. So, so I kept it private. When I finally came out and told people, it was because I felt that I had a platform that mattered enough to be like, guys, just wear sunscreen, you know, put on a shirt. Like, this is crazy. You know, I would see people and I'd get so mad, like seeing little children just fried. And that was what my cancer is from. So yeah, it got to the point where I finally said something. When I did, so many people came to me and said, you know, I had cancer or my parents died of cancer, and they never even told anyone. You know, they didn't tell anyone until the end. So I do think that there was that you're hearing about it too a little bit more, just, you know, as well, because of people being more open.
I've received a lot of comments from people, like I said, that it's not so much the ones who are diagnosed; it's been the ones who've been impacted by it. And because being a single parent, I did not leave my son in the dark. I had a few people really write me some very long, heartfelt emails about how, you know, they're a single parent or they were raised in a single parent household with the person with cancer and type thing. And I never thought of it like that before. Like, you've got an 11-year-old. Did you fold her in? I guess how did you approach that? That's a tough age. She'd have been like 8 years old at that time. Is this too personal? By the way, what kind of show did this turn into here? Is this The View?
No, I don't mind at all. She was 7 when I was diagnosed. I did not tell her for months until they were comfortable enough getting in there, and because they had already seen one of my tumors, and they knew that they had never seen anything like it. And because there are so many places it can spread right there, obviously, it really was in my shoulder. We didn't know how far it was, and with not having a way to treat my cancer other than surgically, I wasn't going to tell her until they had their plan on how they were going to treat it. So yeah, it was a really hard couple of months where I didn't know if I was going to be around to see her turn 9.
Oh,
I mean, it was really, and I'm also a single parent. So where that would leave her, every doctor I met with, every oncologist, every person that would listen to me, I'm like, listen, you need to keep me around for 10 more years. Just 10 more years. I need to get her to 18 years old. And you know, thinking that I'm almost like kind of bargaining with them or making a deal, like, you know, okay, you don't have to keep me alive for 30 years or 50 years, but if you can just keep me alive for 10, maybe they would be able, maybe I wasn't asking too much.
I feel like I'm looking in the mirror right now because all I could think of is just, please get me through to Otis's graduation. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, to where he's 18. And I don't know why 18 was the magical age. It was just like, that's what I kept thinking too, was because I had, it was 2 to 3 weeks where it was either stage 2 or stage 4. And that's not a fun time. That is not a fun time. I mean, I remember specifically waking up one day thinking, the first thought in my head, today's going to be an awesome day. And I was just forcing positivity and this and that. And all, what I do, I turn on YouTube, because a lot of times I listen to my music on YouTube, and then I play YouTube roulette, just whatever comes up next I listen to. And it was Fight Song. Well, I don't know how Fight Song got on there, but my son, he's a musician and he sings, and there was 117 kids that tried out for the school solo. He got it, and it was Fight Song. So what do? I buckle to my knees and I'm crying right away because I'm trying to figure out if I'm stage 4. I'm begging to anybody who will listen, please give me some more years on this planet so I can spend some time with my son and get him off. But I thought it was interesting that you brought up this around the same time frame that I did too. Is that just, I don't know. There's something about that, I guess, to like our job is done, or I don't know. This is, again,
It's not even. I've thought a lot about this. It really isn't that the job is done, and it's not like, they magically move out at 18.
I know. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, why do we both go to that?
I almost think it's more of the legal thing. It's going,
Yeah.
I don't want someone else taking my child.
Ooh.
I don't want my daughter to be somewhere that she's not wanted as much as she's wanted with me. No one will ever want her as much as I want her. That's just the thing.
Yeah.
And until they're 18 or emancipated, they will go to someone else. And I just, because I wondered that so much about myself too. It's like, why was my deal with the devil, so to speak, 18 for her?
Well, I thought the same thing. Like, after I was diagnosed with stage 2, I had a new set of issues, but the good news is I didn't have to have the fatality thoughts as quickly, and so when I eventually got to the thought, I went, why was I bargaining only 10 years? Why wouldn't I do 20? Like, why was I only doing the minimum, or what was why was I even bargaining at all? And so that's kind of like what you were saying, like the deal with the devil type thing. Why was I even doing that? But anyway.
Yeah. I just remember begging my surgeons when I was, counting down. I'm like, I'm not going to count down numbers for you till I pass out, but I'm going to tell you one more time, you need to keep me alive for 10 more years. and then I was out, then I woke up hours later. And they're like, boy, you're persistent, aren't you? But, that's that parent thing where something clicks in you when you have a child. At least, hopefully something clicks in you when you have a child, and nothing else matters.
Right. And you'll make all kinds of martyring sacrifices just to, do a little bit. But yeah. Well,
right.
let's transition out of the cancer survival talk here and get to some other things. You've got some events coming up. Looks like April 19th, April 20th, and then another one in May that I have written down in my notes. Is it just the 3 shows, or do you have other ones beyond that? Or
it's just going to be the 3 shows for my band for
okay.
now.
And
I do have a lot of Kid Rock shows here and there.
Yeah, and this is kind of just because of an off year of Kid Rock touring that you just had some open time and thought you'd do a few shows. I know the one up in Dilworth is for a new venue, so I don't know if you know the people there and just kind of doing a helping them out thing, or if you're, this is an actual show you're trying to, do or what, and kind of a hometown type thing or what. But I imagine these are more going to be more fun than anything for you.
I have such a fun time playing in Fargo, in the Fargo-Moorhead area. and I'm always so emotional about it. It's really fun because so many people in the audience I know personally. Then so there's my family, there's friends, there's people that have followed me and been supporters of mine since I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and um, what really gets me is when I'm playing one of my songs that I've written and I look out and people are crying. And it's like, no, and then I can't help but cry too. So I have to close my eyes a lot when I'm in the FM area. But those people know where my songs have come from. They were around when I wrote them. Or they've been to enough shows where they've heard me talk about certain songs and what inspired them. But it's such a great feeling to be home. I'm actually probably going to take off and come hang out in Fargo tomorrow if weather allows. I was just there the weekend before last. It's really hard to stay away. I love the FM area. I love the people, and it definitely grounds me.
And the one in Minneapolis the night before on the 19th. So April 20th is the Fargo Moorhead. It's in Dilworth, but the Fargo Moorhead show, right? April 20th?
Yep.
420, yep. Baby. Woo! And
That's
then
right.
it should be a heck of a show. And then which I know that's not what your shows and are culturized like a Rastafarian show, but but when it's the date, you just kind of, hey, people wear green on St. Patrick's Day, and some people celebrate 420 in the way that Colorado does. So, how about April 19th? That's in Minneapolis, correct?
Yep. That's at a bar called Shaw's in Northeast Minneapolis
Okay.
on University and 15th. And he's just a very dear friend of mine, Mike Shaw. And I told him I would play at his venue once every year or two as long as I could. So I do. We sell 100 tickets, and it's incredible. It's just, a sweaty, little venue, and
Those
I
are the
just love
best.
it.
Those are the best.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I prefer those actually. I'm not a big fan of big concerts unless it's like a Kid Rock or a Pink or Black Eyed Peas who really can make it about the size as well. But some a lot of concerts they're not very good in a big arena. They just don't translate as well, and so the small intimate settings are so fun, so fun. In fact,
Yeah,
like
it can get sterile, right? I
it
mean, even in
can.
theaters.
Like I remember one of the best shows I ever saw. I think was in the Orpheum down in Minneapolis. That was a great venue for this piano bluesy Americana concert I went to. It was not everything would work in there, but for the music and the placement and just the venue, I was actually quite surprised at how well it worked and that sort of thing. But so 100 people on the 19th. The new venue, what's that, about 1,000? Does it hold? 800, 400? I think 400 or 500 is what it holds.
Yep, I
And
think so.
yeah, okay. And then May, do you have anywhere in May yet that you have confirmed, or you just kind of have a date out there?
May, I'm doing May 25th, I believe, in Sioux City,
Oh,
which I also love playing. Uh,
Sioux
yeah,
City, Iowa.
yep,
Oh,
Sioux
I
City, Iowa.
spent a week there one night. Whew. I
Yeah,
love
that's a fun one for sure.
Sioux City. I used to do a magazine there, and back in my former life, and I used to. What I remember is the stockyards driving in, the empty stockyards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, cool. That's coming up. And is there anywhere that people can go buy tickets as far as a website?
Yeah, you can go to shannoncurfman.com, and there'll be links up for tickets for all those places except for Shaw's in Minneapolis. That you have to go to the venue, and they may be sold out. I'm guessing they are actually, but you can call there. There's numbers for all the venues as well. Talk is actually doing something super rad, which I just found out about. So children 12 and under are free. We are very aware that Easter is the next day, so the show isn't a super late show. I actually think we will be done by 11,
Okay.
maybe a little earlier. Um, just in honor of knowing people, there's plenty of people that want to go to church and be with their families, do Easter egg hunts and all that the next day.
Just understanding Easter. Yes. Okay.
Yep. So, so we were trying to not be super rude about that. And then I'll be on break for at least a couple of months because I blew out my vocal cords. I have to get vocal surgery.
Oh, fun.
So these are just my last little shows to do before I get through all that. But they're kind of fun because my voice is a little different. So pretty raspy anyway. I've always been pretty raspy, but yeah, this will be kind of my last time playing around with my voice like this before it's changed again.
Can't wait to hear it when it changes. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, what a weird thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to just have a different voice. And I always think of my friend Willie. My friend Willie was in a propane explosion, one of those ice castles. And so he was the closest one to the propane. There was like 4 of them in one of those ice castles on the lake, and it exploded. He had 90% of his body was burned. He was in a coma for 18 months, I think it was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he had to learn how to breathe again. You imagine that? He had to learn how to breathe again because the ventilator had done his breathing for 18 months. His body forgot. And I was looking at him going, that's an instinct. Like, that's like the first thing a child does. And you have to learn how. And he said it was hard. It was really hard. So I don't know. So what you said there reminded me of that, about how, sometimes you got to just start from the basics, I guess. But anywho.
Yeah, we kind of went through that with my daughter. She had been attacked by a dog, and I was on the road, and I was able to get home by the time they pulled her out of her like second or third surgery. It was all day. I finally got there that night, and she had to relearn how to talk and how to eat, like drinking was the worst, and using a straw, being able to like suck on something, like all of it. It was just devastating. But you definitely take a lot of things for granted. And I don't know, man. I kind of keep getting these little blows that sort of me.
How long does it take you to talk again? Because you've had a vocal larynx surgery before, right? And so how long does that take before you can speak again?
I can't fully use my voice for at least a couple months.
Okay.
I can't talk at all at first, of course. I'll be going back to my team of doctors, and they'll kind of test me out and, at least allow those couple of months before they, so they can sort of guide me along, so I don't damage myself again. Unfortunately, when I had the first surgery on my vocal cords, I had polyps basically on both, but they won't ever do surgery on both vocal cords. There's just a chance that if they nick your vocal cord or anything like that, you will your voice will be paralyzed forever. So I wouldn't be able to talk. I wouldn't be able to whisper. Certainly wouldn't be able to sing. So the safest route is just to do one at a time. So I'm kind of getting like a residual effect of the surgery I did in 2010. Now I have to go and complete it because it's worn on my other vocal cord so badly.
Well, I wish you luck on that, and looking forward to the April 20th concert. 19th is going to be down, and that's probably sold out. So April 19th, you're not going, folks. April 20th, you might be able to get to if you get to tickets, and then the Sioux City in May 25th, and then little hiatus, little surgery, back on the road again. Kid Rock next year, I'd imagine, is kind of that's the idea, anyways. Is once Kid Rock gets back on tour, you're going to be back on and seeing what the next year holds, huh?
Yeah, we do have at least one show in Minnesota with Kid Rock this year in August. I'll be back for all that. I won't miss any shows with him.
Oh, you're kidding me. Yeah. So your vocal larynx is going to be fine by then, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, last time I didn't listen at all, and I ended up doing shows 2-3 weeks later. So
Jeez. Okay, well that answers a lot there.
right.
No
No,
kid.
but
So
this is kind of an off year just because we're sort of in an album cycle, right? So after 2-3 years of touring, we have to stop so he can make another album and we can get back into the studio and have another product to sell and new songs to sing. So
I was going to say, last time I really heard or saw Kid Rock, he was being inducted into the WWE's Hall of Fame last year for his stuff in WrestleMania through the years. He got inducted in there. That was
yeah.
that was all anything. I think he did Celebrate. He did one song for them too, as their main theme, I guess. Yeah, something along those lines. So okay. Well, outstanding. ShannonCurfman.com. And any final thoughts?
Nope. If you're looking me up, though, it's with a C, not a K. That's about it.